Introducing On the Horizon, a podcast by Horizon Resources Cooperative, supporting farmers and ranchers across northwest North Dakota and northeast Montana. Join host Levi Hall as he engages with agronomy experts, grain traders, and community leaders, sharing insights to help you make confident, informed decisions for your operations. From market trends to practical advice, we bring you the conversations that matter.
Welcome to another episode of On the Horizon. This week, Kelly Leo comes back to the podcast. She is one of the committee members for the National Hard Wheat Show that is hosted here in Williston, North Dakota at the Grand Hotel. And Kelly and I have a great conversation about this year's show. There are new dates, so keep that in mind. This year, they tried to couple it up with the KMOT Ag Expo. So January 28th, that is earlier than normal. January 28th at the Grand in Williston. And we talk about all the speakers that are going to be there. And Kelly and I really go into the keynote speaker, Rob Sharkey, the shark farmer. Phenomenal story. Really great guy. Excited for everybody to hear Rob, and come out to the National Hard Wheat Show. We're going to have a strong presence there, as we always do. Proud to be a sponsor once again. Come on out. But first, listen to this episode and enjoy the show.
At Horizon Resources, we're cultivating the next generation of agricultural leaders through the Grow Internship Program. Guided real-world opportunities in work. This is your chance to gain hands-on experience in agronomy, grain marketing, and more. Work side by side with mentors, learn from industry leaders, and prepare for a rewarding career. Applications are open now. Visit horizonresources.coop to learn more and apply today.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Horizon. I'm back to my rightful chair in the podcast, and it feels good. And this week we have recurring guest, Kelly Leo, the extension agent out here in Williams County. Welcome back, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Levi. I really appreciate getting to give everybody updates on what we got going on. So.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's really good. People want to know where their public programming is and what's going on with it. And I think you do such a great job communicating the message, and so it's a natural fit. And we always have a lot of fun talking about everything that you're working on. So you are on the committee for the National Hard Spring Wheat Show. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the Hard Spring Wheat Show and what it is as an event? Sure. Well, the show is in its 72nd year, and of course I can't take any credit for that. We have a wheat show board that really helps direct the vision and the goals for that program every year. My office does a lot of the facilitation behind the scenes. We help get speakers lined up and work on all of the little logistical things that have to happen to make that show come off. But we've changed that event over the years. COVID really was hard on this show, as it was a lot of other shows. And so we're really finally kind of crawling back and getting this into used to be a 2-day event. We're down to just 1 day, but we have a really full day. And we try to do a really good job of finding some excellent speakers that are pertinent to topics that we hear producers talking to us about. Thankfully, the people on the board are producers, and so they're pretty aware of, what are our hot topics this year, or what are the things that are most important. And so that's kind of where we get started. We start brainstorming immediately after the wheat show. Yeah, it's the best time to do it. It is. When the event is fresh in your mind and you think about what could we have done better, what was the feedback from the people that came. So yeah, it's not an event that you guys started last week planning. Exactly. Yeah. We actually will often book a keynote speaker almost a year in advance because it's tough to get them. This year we did not do that. The gentleman we were thinking about having, just costs have gone up so much, and we really had to look at our budget because we really rely on our amazing sponsors to make this show happen, which I do not ever want to downplay because we've got some sponsors, including Horizon Resources, that have been over 30 years of sponsorship for the show, and they've been great supporters for us. Obviously, we can't make this show happen without that sponsorship. So I'll mention a few of those later in the show or in our podcast here, but that's kind of where we get started. About a year in advance, we start talking about, okay, we heard from attendees this year, these are things they wish we would have had information on. And we really take that to heart. We write all of those down, or they're on surveys, and we take that information, and that's where we start to build. Our local speakers, our more regional speakers, aren't as tough to get. We can usually, if I let them know 6-7 months in advance when our approximate date of the wheat show is, they'll block off about a week
for us.
Sure.
This year, we decided to pair with KMOT Ag Expo. We have best of the best speakers coming out from NDSU. And so that was kind of an easy decision for us.
Yeah.
So we chose January 28th as our date, and then KMOT starts the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Which the 28th is earlier, because normally it's in early to mid-February, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we tossed it back and forth for a long time. The biggest issue we had heard from some of our speakers is, man, we hate coming out for KMOT and then turning around coming out the next week for your event.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, well, what'll happen if maybe we put it on the Tuesday right before KMOT? Not a great choice. There's other meetings happening that same day, and I've already heard that from quite a few people. But once we set our date, reserve our motel, and get our keynote, we're pretty much locked into that date. Next year, we'll probably jump back into February, I think, and just work hard to get those speakers and just let them know, I'm sorry, but we heard comments that they'd rather not have this on top of another meeting. So, because I don't want to have to choose. So I'd rather we'll probably bump it back to February.
Yeah, it's such a tough thing. I'm in the North Dakota Grain Dealers Association board, and there's always, the convention, when do we have that? And should we move it a day or two? And it was amazing how when you talk to some of these venues, it's difficult to move an event even one day. And so that's something a lot of people don't realize. It's not just a magic light switch that we're able to just be like, boom, we're doing this year. So it's definitely interesting. But yeah, so the new date is January 28th for 2025 at the Grand in Williston.
Absolutely. And the Grand has been great working with us the last couple of years. It's nice having that venue open again. We really have had great service, and they provide a really nice, that whole conference room area is just really nice. They've redone the whole thing, and it's been a good experience. We've been back. This will be our third year back with them, and I believe that they're probably as easy to work with as any venue is, and they're so accommodating for us. I can't thank them enough. They do a great job for us. I'll be sitting down with them Monday to get the final details worked out, but they're always ready for us. The catering is amazing, and they're on time. Everything is good. So we've been blessed to have that. We're going to have a great vendor show again. We have quite a few vendors coming back this year. They loved the traffic we had last year. We had 21 vendors in that room, and it was pretty tight in there, but we've got most of them coming back this year. I think there's maybe only one or two that aren't coming, that's fine. Picked up a few new vendors this year, though. Yellowstone River Beef is going to make an appearance there for us.
Great.
We just got their sponsorship just yesterday, I believe, but just kind of getting some new folks in there just to get exposure, and that's great. And we want it to be worth their time. So we're going to make those breaks, 30 to 45 minutes where they have time to mingle, and really talk to some of their stakeholders and their clients, which I think is super important. If we're going to have a vendor show, we need to make sure they have people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're an attendee, make time to go through that show. That helps keep those vendors engaged and makes them want to come back, because without the vendors, it gets difficult to have the entire show. So, so take that time, go through, shake a couple hands, and just visit with the people. You're going to have a ton of people there that you already do business with. So go in there and visit with those people. It's well worth your time.
Yep, absolutely. We've had great vendors. We used to do a lot of giveaways and things during the show. We encourage vendors to bring their own things to give away. We don't do it as a drawing anymore. It seems like it took a lot of time during the show, and we're trying to keep our speakers on time. We've got several speakers that are also speaking at Best of the Best, and so they ask for specific time slots. And if you're ready, we can kind of jump into how the day is going to look for us.
Well, let's do it.
Okay, perfect. American State Bank is always our Ag Appreciation Breakfast sponsor, so they'll kick that off at 7 a.m. They've done that, I can't remember how many years. I guess, I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know it's been over 20 years that they've done that Ag Appreciation Breakfast. They used to come and cook for us. They used to do pancakes and sausage, and the motel, of course, is not going to allow someone else to come in and cook. So we have that catered, but they are our sponsor, and they're there welcoming everybody in the morning. They give us some fun little giveaway things, and so that's really nice. And that'll kick off at 7, and it'll run from 7 to probably 8:30. Bo Anderson, my portfolio commissioner, but our ag commissioner here locally, he is going to come in and give us a nice welcome to open up the event. And then our president, Brian Kay, will talk about the board and all of the events that are going to happen during the day. I will be conducting commodity elections, so I'll give a little bit of introduction to that. We have our North Dakota Wheat Commodity Board, we're electing a new representative for that. Dustin Johnsrud has been our representative for a long time, and he's said, I'm tired.
Yeah.
He's been serving, but he serves on the state level committee, so he's still going to be involved there. We also have our North Dakota Oilseed Council and our sunflower representative, and TJ Halverson has been our representative here for the last few years, and he can run again. So I twisted his elbow a little bit, and I think he's willing to run again. But we're always open to new candidates as well. But we'll conduct those elections at about 10 in the morning at our break. But I'll introduce them in the morning when we get started.
It's a great way to get involved, and it really helps with those checkoff dollars and that type of stuff to understand where does that money go, what's it being used for. So I really encourage, especially younger producers, get involved in something like that. It's a really eye-opening experience.
It is, and it doesn't take a ton of time commitment. I mean, our local meeting within the region, it's usually 1 or 2 meetings a year, so it's not a huge time commitment. Within that region, then they'll elect a district representative, and that person will serve on the state board. That's a little more time commitment, but I do know they do a lot of things via Zoom, and they don't always have to meet in person. So the time commitment, and you're right, to really understand where those dollars are going really helps you feel more a part of that decision making. So.
Well, and that entire board is going to be producers, or at least industry people, but I believe all those are producer boards. And so they're not going to have meetings on May 15th. No. They're not going to have meetings on September 5th. They understand. So your busy season's their busy season. They get that. So they're definitely aware of that. Even on those state levels where you are more of a time commitment, it's they still understand what's going on because they're out in the field with you.
Yep, absolutely. And they're all just same kind of guys.
Yep.
So I think those boards are great. You get to network with people from across the state.
Yep.
And I think it really helps to open your eyes as to what the issues are, maybe side to side of the state, because there are definitely similar, but there's also some very marked differences depending on where you're from. So
absolutely. So after the elections, then
we'll jump right after I visit about them. Then we're going to jump right into our weather outlook. So we got Mr. Weather, Mark Ewens is coming out, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about just kind of the weather outlook for the year. It's sort of a drought looking year, so we're really hoping that hoping it isn't, but hopefully Mark can give us an update on that. He runs the home on the prairie weather. He retired from his former role, and now that's what he does. And,
sure.
And he sounds like he's super fun, entertaining, and he was highly recommended. So we were excited to get him. And then after we get our weather update, we're going to jump into our weed control update. Dr. Brian Jenks out of Minot. He is always a real asset to our producers. He spends a lot of time in Williams County, and a lot of guys have really relied on his knowledge and his research for many years. He's continuing to do that, even though we have Charlie Lim here locally. But Brian still kind of coordinates with Charlie, and they do a lot of their research. He's going to give us a little update on kochia, I'm sure, because that was one of our big problems this year.
Yeah.
A couple of other producers brought up stink grass as an issue, because it's outside that treatment window. So Brian has promised me that he's going to talk a little bit about that too, because that's been a question now for about a couple of years that I've been getting pretty regular.
Sure.
We'll take a little break, do the commodity elections right after Brian, and then we'll jump, let them folks walk through and visit with our vendors and really network with each other. Rob Sharkey is not told me exactly what he's going to do, but it sounds like it's going to be maybe a live podcast that he's going to do for just about 30 minutes there, just kind of give us a little tease so that we get to really excited for his presentation in the afternoon. And after Rob does his short blurb there, we're going to talk about Dr. Carlos Pires out of NDSU. He's our new soil health specialist, and he really specializes in soil organic matter. His presentation is called Why Soil Organic Matter is Like Money in the Bank. I'm really excited to hear that. I heard him present last year in Dickinson when he was brand new, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I immediately spoke to him and said, hey, we need you there.
Yeah.
I think your presentation is relevant, and it really applies to what we're maybe dealing with after the fires and a few other things. So we're excited to get him. We'll have a nice lunch after that. North Dakota Wheat Commission and our Williams County Farmers Union, they sponsor that luncheon and have for as long as I can remember. Both groups have really been good with that. And so we'll have a quick lunch, and then Rob Sharkey's going to jump in right after lunch and get us jazzed up. His topic is called Why Sharks Don't Swim Backwards. And it really is a message about resiliency in ag and how to deal with those really tough moments. And then I think he's going to throw in a few other things. So he's pretty fun, I've heard. So.
Well, and for those of you that are on social media, I believe his handle is @Shark Farmer or something like that. So that's where Rob Sharkey, the why sharks don't swim backwards. That ties into his title there. But he is very entertaining on social media. He tries not to take things too seriously. Has definitely been through some trials and tribulations lately. And I don't want to give too many spoilers. I don't know what he's going to talk about, but if he's as entertaining in person, which I fully expect him to be, I mean, the guy has a Sirius XM show. He has an RFD show. You don't get those by not being a captivating, entertaining speaker. So I think that's going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited to hear what Rob has to say.
I am too. And a couple of our board members had mentioned he is great. We should try to get him. And he's been amazing to work with. He's a real human being. He's a real farmer. He knows his stuff. I think he's going to really resonate well with our producers here. I know he deals a lot with corn and soybeans where he comes from, but the message is still going to be pertinent. So I'm pretty excited to get him. And you're right. He has a big following. He really kind of is an out-of-the-box thinker, and I think he's going to really do a good job for us. I'm really excited to get him. After his keynote, it's going to be hard to follow that, but we're going to get some wheat and durum variety updates out of NDSU from Dr. Claire Keene. She used to be right here at the Williston Research Center, and Claire was really happy. She reached out to me actually, and she said, "Hey, I'd like to give an update at the wheat show." And so I said, "Perfect. Let's have you come back and visit with stakeholders." She knows most of them, and so that'll be really nice. And then we'll have a wheat stem sawfly panel after Claire in the afternoon. That has been one of our number one requested. We need more information. And I don't know that we're going to have anything profound come out of that, except for that we're going to have Dr. David Weber out of Montana State University, who has spent his life studying wheat stem sawfly. And so he's going to be there. And then Dr. Jan Knodel out of NDSU, they're going to kind of pair up and work with each other. She has been in contact with Dr. Weber, and they've just been visiting back and forth on kind of the approach they want to take with this. We worked on getting a CCAN rep or somebody out of Canada with some of their wheat variety trials up there. We just couldn't get it coordinated. Too many meetings in the same week. We just couldn't get somebody. So we'll continue to work on that. Those Canadian varieties sometimes tend to help us a little better. They've been working on sawfly a long time up there. So, and with some success. So that would have been nice to have that third party, but we've got the two, and then we're going to work with that. So it just happens that there was too many meetings the same week. So and we'll take a little break after that. I think people really need time to mingle and talk. So we're going to take a pretty good vendor break in the afternoon. And then Dr. Frayne Olson is going to finish the day for us. And I gave Frayne open mic for as long as he needs it, because he tends to go hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because he just is so knowledgeable. And we're blessed to get him every year. And he always saves the wheat show. He never schedules anything over that. And so, but I have to book him a year in advance.
Well, there was an old TV show called Whose Line Is It Anyway, where they always used to say the points are made up and they don't matter. And I think of that when I think of time limits with Frayne Olson. They're all made up. They don't matter. Frayne's going to go as long as Frayne's going to go. Yep. And I'm really excited because while Frayne is in town, he's going to come back on the podcast. So we're going to kind of double dip. And nice. It's going to be great. But I love Frayne. Everybody loves Frayne. I think you were the one that told me if you want butts in the seat, you book Frayne Olson.
Yes, you do.
And it's true. It's still one of our most listened to podcasts that we've done, and that was our first episode.
Right. And the thing we should be doing is recording him every year, because he's just. I just read the day when he says I'm going to retire because I don't know how to replace him. He's just so dynamic and he's so knowledgeable, and he always has an answer to the question, which I believe. That's so invaluable. I just don't know that we have a speaker that really captivates people like Frayne does. That's exactly the word that I was using in my head, was captivate. Frayne is so good at drawing that audience in. And I think if you're going to be a lecturer at North Dakota State where you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds and you have to do that for a living, you probably have a little bit more experience with it. But Frayne is second to none. There's plenty of professors that cannot do what Frayne does. So I'm very excited to hear him. I actually also get to hear him at the North Dakota Grain Dealers Convention in a couple of weeks. There's never too much Frayne Olson. Nope. I would agree with that. Yeah. I always try to put him at the end of the schedule. Last year we tucked him in before break and he went right on through break. Yeah. So I said, we will not make that mistake again. Yeah. He is always going to finish out our show because people, even after he's done speaking, will stay for several hours. And Frayne is amazing. He said, yep, I'll stay as long as people want to talk. Yeah. and he's just that speaker for us. He doesn't ask for a short time window or anything like that, or say he has to get to another meeting. He fully makes the time when he comes to the Wheat Show, and he knows how valuable we feel he is out here. And I continue to say, don't ever stop coming. I need you to finish the show for me every year. So I want to talk a little bit about sponsorships, just because, once again, the show does not come out without the great support of this community and our businesses in the community. I talked about some of these teased about the longevity of some of our sponsors. I'm just looking down the list here. The Wheat Commission, Western Region Economic Development, Horizon Resources, Montreal Williams, Western Cooperative Credit Union, American State Bank, Ag Country Farm Credit Services. And I'm going to keep going here. First State Bank and Trust, Keys Radio, First International Bank and Trust, Williams County Soil Conservation District, Ray Farmers Union, Williams County Farmers Union, that Roundup, the Ag Roundup out of Sydney there, Farmers Union Oil of Granora, Zunick Johnson Insurance Agency, Dakota West Credit Union, New Century Ag, Gooseneck, Birdsall, City of Williston Economic Development, Polar Communications, Helena Ag, Thrivent Financial, U.S. Durham Growers, North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Co-ops, Acme Tools, AGT Foods, EGT, Frontier Precision Ag. I mean, we're talking tons of sponsors here. Those first 10 or so I mentioned, or 15, over 30 years, all of them. Over 30 years. So that's just a testament to the support that this event brings. We see more stakeholders and producers in the seats for this event than anything else we do here locally. I can't begin to rival it in extension. So I wish I could, but it's such a standard here, and we're going to continue to make it that. We're really hoping in the future we can grow this event. Right now we're as big as we can be for where we're at. So I'm hoping to really grow this. We used to have implement dealers come in and put their equipment right outside. That was a really nice touch. Right now we can't do it. I mean, just where we're at. So there's some growth that can happen. We would love for more board members and more input, because we really think the show is valuable. We bring a great education package to you every year in one day. I wouldn't mind seeing it go back to 2 days, but right now 1 day is working for us. So we didn't do an evening meal last year. This year we just didn't have enough turnout. Most people want to get home after a full day. But if we run it back to a 2-day event at some point, I think that'll come back. We just kind of lose our group in the afternoon.
Well, with Frayne Olson, you might need an evening meal and midnight snack. I don't know. I'm not going to make any guarantees that Frayne will be done.
Yep, I agree. So I always love to mention our sponsors, because we can't do it without them. And
well, on behalf of Horizon Resources, I know it's something we're proud to do. We're happy to do. It's very important to us to be involved in the community, especially an ag event like this. And so, we absolutely love being a sponsor for this one. So happy to do it, Kelly.
Well, we sure appreciate it. I look down this group of sponsors and go, wow, that's a lot of support from the community right there. So, and the board is really thankful. They're farmers, so they're busy all the time too. So it's logical that my office can facilitate some of that behind the scenes, but they help us come up with the good ideas, and they really talk to their constituents and find out what do we need for information this year. If we go back to a 2-day event, we'll probably include a pesticide training on that second half of that day. That used to be a tradition here. I was able to pull that off a couple years ago because we did a Mondeck pulse day and then a half a day pesticide. That is something we're actually tossing around doing again. This year, the pulse day is going to be towards the end of February, but I think we'll see if we can't partner on that with the Wheat Show again.
Right on. Well, that's exciting to hear. Cool. Well, do you have anything else you wanted to cover about the National Hard Wheat Show?
Just that one thing I didn't really touch on yet is, of course, we have the bread fair. It used to be part of the Wheat Show. We go to the individual schools now, but Horizon is really instrumental in helping us get that flour from the mill out here. And we do a big setup day. We're going to reach about 2,200 kids this year, we think. So that has grown every year. We've expanded it out into North Dakota a long ways now. It used to just kind of be on this west edge. We've expanded it to quite a few counties in eastern Montana, because a lot of them do business right here in Williston. So we've picked up Dawson County, Richland County, Macomb County, Daniels County, Sheridan County, and Roosevelt County in Montana. So that's pretty impressive. And I feel like that's just going to continue to grow. We've trained those agents. they're promoting our North Dakota wheat just as much as they are their Montana wheat, because they know that this program is so valuable to the schools. It's our number one requested program. Locally, we see about almost 1,000 students locally here, over 1,000 students locally.
So in that program, what do the kids learn? What is the program? What's it look like?
Sure. Well, the North Dakota Wheat Commission has a book called The Story of Wheat, and it's a youth curriculum piece that they've put together quite a while ago. We utilize that. That goes out to the schools, so we'll be sending those next week. So the schools will receive those. The teachers really talk about the story of wheat in North Dakota specifically, but it applies to most everywhere as well. And we have them teach about basically from seed to loaf of bread, what happens to that wheat kernel. And that really helps us. And then we go in and we really talk. I always talk about our ag locally when I do the bread fair activities. So we really pull up our Williams County statistics, and we're number one in a lot of categories. So it really helps us promote wheat and locally. We visit about those ag statistics, and then we jump in and we have the kids make their own fresh bread. And
Awesome.
Some of the schools bake it for them, so they get to take a loaf home with them that's already baked. Sometimes we'll do the activity in the afternoon and they take it home and bake it, which we always question if it makes it to the oven.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty smashed by the time it gets home. But our goal is to give those kids basically that field to fork experience and help them really understand where their food comes from.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, every year when we walk in, we'd ask kids, do you know where bread comes from? And they'll say the store. Mm-hmm. And it just hurts my heart.
Yeah.
So we start there. And every year we educate more and more youth on really where their food comes from and appreciate really what North Dakota has to offer in terms of, man, are we diverse here? And we can really fill somebody's plate every night with the things we grow right here.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing for me, is that they walk away with an appreciation for that farmer and what he puts into making sure that they have food on their plate every day. We talk about ingredients in a lot of foods. We throw that in there too, and just say, how many foods can you pull off the shelf that say wheat flour right in them?
Yeah. So
think about when that bushel of wheat is processed, how many places that bushel of wheat is going to touch on your plate, So those are the things we throw in on that. We did special assignment pizza. Thank you, Levi, for coming and help. And that's another activity where we're really teaching about kids where their food comes from. And so the more I feel like we can reach youth and educate them on the importance of agriculture, the more support we have for agriculture moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I believe the average American is 3 generations removed from the farm. So it's important for us to send employees to those types of events. I know Sarah Erickson and Dr. Audrey Kalal also help with special assignment pizza. So, really cool programs. We're very happy to be part of them.
Yep. Audrey helps us every year with Bread Fair. She jumps down. When we do our activity at St. Joe's, she always comes in and helps us make bread. So Audrey's been a part of this for a very long time. So we really appreciate her help. But great activity. That used to be, once again, that was part of the wheat show. We've now really taken that kind of to the schools. It just works better for the schools. They don't have to worry about as much busing and as much transportation to try to get that event worked in. And we want all kids to take part in it. So every 5th grader, including homeschool, take part of this in Williams County unless they're sick or gone that day. So
perfect. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate the information. We look forward to seeing everybody January 28th at the Grand in Williston for the National Hard Wheat Show. Horizon Resources will have a handful of employees there in the trade show and networking across the hall. We look forward to seeing everyone there, and look forward to another great show by you and the committee.
Thank you so much for having us. Thanks, Levi.
Thank you for tuning in to On the Horizon. If our conversation today sparked your interest, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Stay connected by following @Horizon Resources Co-op on Facebook and Instagram, and explore the world of agriculture with us. We're excited to continue bringing you real conversations with Horizon Resources industry partners, member owners, and employees, discovering more about your local neighbors and community friends. Until next time, keep looking towards the horizon.
Horizon Resources, solutions for your success.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be used or considered as an offer or a solicitation to buy or sell commodities. Horizon Resources does not make any representation, warranty, or guarantee as to the completeness, accuracy, timeliness, or suitability of any information contained within any part of this podcast. Horizon Resources does not accept any liability for any loss or damage, including without limitation loss of profit, which may arise directly or indirectly from use or reliance on such information. Whilst the information provided has been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, Horizon Resources does not attest to its accuracy or completeness. Horizon Resources reserves the right to change any source without restriction or notice. The information herein is indicative only and is subject to change.